Ladies and gentlemen, Shawn Lehocky, CEO of Lehocky Giordano, Ed Herman, Managing Partner of Brown and Crouppen, and Yehuda Apfelbaum, Chief Growth Officer at Morgan & Morgan, and your moderator, Cassie Vitelli from Litify.
What you do want to make sure to have is don't just put together a team of brainstormers. You know, everybody likes to fancy themselves a brainstormer, and look, it's an important part of the process. It's where the ideas start, but most ideas die right there because what you don't have on your team are the people that can execute. You need to have the people that can get something done. Getting something done is always better than getting nothing done, and I find that people that are pretty much, you know, self-proclaimed brainstormers tend to not get as much done. So if you have to make a choice for your team, get people that could actually get something done. If you happen to have a visionary on top of that, that's a nice plus for the team.
Yeah, I think ours is very similar today. I think we've gone through every iteration of a marketing department. You know, at one point we were, you know, fully outsourced to an agency. At another point we had 20-some people in-house. And I think we did the same exercise that probably every firm in here did over the last 18 months. The people that we're retaining and paying through the pandemic, are they fully engaged? You know, and I think when we looked at our marketing team, we figured a hybrid approach moving forward was best for us. Because there's certain quick action response teams that we need in place. You know, Amtrak train derails, we want a website up quickly. Or we need SEO done at all times. But there's other tasks that, you know, we couldn't keep somebody working 40 hours a week every week. You know, from a business standpoint, it wasn't the right investment. So we're currently a hybrid structure right now with about 8 people in-house and then a couple agencies that support certain tasks of marketing.
Yeah, we did a lot of testing and learning over the past couple of years. I started on Morgan on the agency side in 2015 and then eventually came in-house in 2018. So over the past 3 years experimenting a lot, trying out different teams, and I think we got a really good structure now. We have 8 solid teams that collaborate and work together. We have our strategy team that helps, you know, we have 40 markets, so we need a budget, you know, earlier on in the year to make sure that we're properly spending $150 million a year. And in order to do that, we need the data, we need the teams, the research. And so we have our strategy team that helps set our goals, our insights. We have a small insights and data science team that can help us put the right dashboards and reports together, looking at the marketplace, reach and frequency, competitors. And like we came on earlier, you know, all we do is win. I think we're all really on the same side. And we work very closely with tons of law firms, hundreds and hundreds of law firms throughout the country, sending them the cases that we don't handle, or the cases that we don't handle best, and they're sending us the cases. So really, we're all on the same side. And so we have our strategy team, and then from there, we have our creative team. We have a chief creative officer that really puts together the ad campaigns behind it. I know, Ed, you do a lot of that on your end. We have our production team that really puts together all the designs and the editing, and just like you see tons of videos that we're putting out on social, and you know, tons of different cuts of our videos, coming up with new ideas. And then really the other 3 teams we have our PR team over here. We have Dave in-house, really getting us on, you know, front page, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Reuters, really a stellar team. That's our secret weapon. We have an R&D team, always testing out, you know, new ideas, quick sign up or different things on our website. And then we have our referrals team to really partner with other law firms, and we send AEs out to different offices. So constantly testing. We have very specialized team members, a team that just focuses on conversion rate, a team that just focuses on web content strategy or just our local GMBs. We have almost 100 locations, so we're really focused on each individual area, and we have focused team members. And I think that we were talking about earlier, should you have an in-house team or should you outsource? And we have a nice mix, but really in-house, you need to have the person that pulls it all together.
You do. I call that person, they're the hub of the wheel. You know, your marketing, it's all spokes. You know, digital, TV, billboard, you know, blogs, whatever you do, it's all around. You've got to have a hub in the middle that keeps it all cohesive and together and understands how the things
connect
talk
all
to
the
each
dots,
other.
right?
You have to. And I mean, we spend a lot of time, as you do, really trying to figure out how you want to set your business up. You know, I think people go out there with a big fishing net, and their first instinct is just, let's see what I catch. And then as you get better at it, you start thinking, well, the stuff that I'm interested in eating is in this particular pond. And so you learn how to go to that pond, and then you refine your bait. You know, this is the bait that works best in that particular pond. And that's the process that you go to. The quicker you can get to that part of the process, I think the better, because, you know, I do this analogy. I don't want to waste a bunch of time on it, but it's always helped me think about the business. Not every business wants to eventually be the biggest in the world, but every business wants to have the best profit margin that they can and the most profit that they can. And there's a capacity to every business, like a wallet. If you picture a bifold, you know, just a men's wallet, it doesn't have to be a man's wallet. A woman could use a bifold. I don't mean anything. But it can only fold over a certain amount, and then it won't close anymore. It doesn't fit. But a $20 bill takes up the exact amount of space as a $1 bill. And so if you really want to think about running your business as efficiently as possible, and it starts in the marketing process, you have to say, how do I pick up all of the $20 bills first? And then if I still have room in my wallet, then I'll take a $10 bill or a $5 bill. I think a lot of firms are just so excited at the idea of growing that they jump into it and they just act like they're in a cash booth and they just start grabbing everything they can. You'd be much better off staying calm in the cash booth, looking for the $100 bill and just taking that one. But that's just not what most places do. So take that little image away and, you know, write that down in your mind. That's gold.
I agree. I agree with that completely. I imagine every law firm in here has 10 cases that they don't know about, new cases sitting in their inventory right now from, you know, people that didn't want to come out of work a month ago that all of a sudden they got laid off or their situations have changed. When you're talking to a person in an MVA accident, you know, where they're passengers in the car, how do we maximize the amount of cases or help the most amount of people off the dollars we're spending? And there's a lot of philosophies to that. You can get really narrow and go for quality. You can cast a wide net as long as you're making sure you're pulling every case possible out of that wide net.
Exactly.
You know, for instance, we have a big Social Security disability practice. And in disability, most of the clients you sign up are over the age of 50. However, when you look at the 30-year-old that comes in with a broken back, trying to apply for Social Security disability, then anyone ask him how he broke his back. And really spending, you know, it's not really minutes per intake, it's minutes per case. I'd rather that intaker stay on the phone for an extra 10 minutes if they can pull another case, because then my minutes per case are still being very efficient. And then once you have a referral department, you can monetize all of these different cases without trying to practice them in-house.
Right. I wonder how many firms here have a referral department? You know, if you don't, well, clearly we all do, but if you don't, obviously it's something all three of us have in common and have invested a tremendous amount in. And it's to your point that you want to find a way that you can make money on every single call that comes into your office. And it's either going to come because they have a case today that you do handle, or they have a case, but it's something that you can send out and make some money on, or you can take the first major step in building a really good relationship with that caller. And that would be another piece of gold for you to all think about. Correct. The best market for you guys to go after are people that have already called your office and you decline them. Correct. The ones that you accepted, you'll build a relationship during the course of the case and you'll do a nice job and hopefully they'll use you again. The ones you decline, they're the most important part to go after. Those are the ones you got to keep a relationship with.
It's often larger than the ones you're taking.
It's much larger.
I mean, we open more cases a month from rejected leads for the first department than the actual.
Now, this is what I want to know from you, because I do believe this is the great fertile territory that most firms are missing out on. Yeah. If you're looking for a secret, it is the people that you decline because they knew who you were, which is the biggest challenge to anything. I don't care if you're a politician or a business. They knew who you were. And whatever little litmus test they had in their mind that made you qualified, you passed it because they called you. So those are your two biggest challenges. Once you're over that hurdle with any member of the public, the rest of it's a piece of cake. So unfortunately, you know, most people stop the relationship right there because they didn't have a case today. That's the biggest lost opportunity
You've earned
that
their
y'all
trust,
have.
and part of that trust of them calling you is to make sure that you can get them to the right place.
Remember, you rejected them. You owe them now a little something to build that relationship. You got to give them a let's be friends speech.
Yeah, I think if we take a step back, so Pennsylvania just released the annual data for 2020. There were 150,000 reported work injuries, only 8,000 claims filed. There's a stigma. We've lost a PR battle about a stigma of people calling lawyers. So the people that have already called you have already qualified themselves to a degree. You know, why go out and try to find another person that might be leery of talking to your law firm when you know that there's people there? So our philosophy is we don't say no, we don't do the rejection. Ours is we can't help you for X, Y, or Z case. I can't help you for work comp. but I'm going to try to get you every benefit that's possibly available for you. Would you mind if I ask you questions about these other case types? Because I know the situation you're in, you're desperate, you're our client no matter what, and we're going to do whatever we can. And that might not be today, but I'm going to talk to you again in 6 months and see if you have another legal need.
Yeah. It's got every place has got their pitches, and they all sound really good when you're taking the time to perfect it. Yeah. I mean, you've said that thousands of times. Correct. I can tell.
You mentioned the hurdle to get over that hump of, how do people find out about you and then make that hard decision to finally call? How do you do that?
Let me, I don't want to dominate. I'm sure we'll have something to say. Anybody who's starting off, especially if you're kind of on the newer end to it, not newer, you could be doing it for years, but newer to the mass public knowing you got to do a little research. You have to kind of, just like if you were a politician that was going to run for office, you would have polls done. You would have people finding out how strong is your current name recognition. When they do recognize your name, do they know what you do? And how do they then feel about you? What are their opinions about you? And I'll just, again, I don't want to dominate, but just something I always like to remind people of is that every client that you have, and no matter what the business is, like you could be selling hamburgers, they all go through the exact same journey. It's 5 things that have to happen. Number 1, they have to know who you are. And they don't have to come in this order. Number 2, they have to know what you do. Number 3, you have to pass their litmus test, whether that's through your demonstrated competence or your humor or your relatability or your likability, whatever it is, you've got to pass their litmus test. Number 4, they have to have a need for you. And then number 5 is they have to actually hire you. And every bit of your marketing is not going to hit all 5 of those way stations of the journey. You have to know going into it, what is this particular tool for? Billboards, for example, if you're going to measure a billboard by how many cases it closes for you, you'd never spend money on a billboard. And yet every city you go to is filled with them, so obviously they work. Well, what do they work at? The first part, do people know who you are? Have they ever heard of you? Maybe the second part.
Staying top of mind.
Right? Yeah, maybe you can put something on there that says injury attorneys. But then don't measure it by cases. When you go back and you do your further research, see if your name recognition has taken the big jump. See if the people's awareness of what you do has taken a big jump. That's how you measure something like billboards.
And it doesn't have to cost a lot.
No.
When you go to the vendors, they'll give you the Marshall Marketing, Cox, they'll give you the research.
They will.
They go out to the marketplace, they do the surveys, they do the legwork, and they're happy to share it.
Yeah, I think focus groups are the key tool. Constantly doing them, seeing if your brand recognition is growing, what is the perception of you, do they actually know what cases, do they know your brand, and then actually know what types of cases you handle?
We've done extensive focus grouping with our 30-second ads. The nice thing about digital content is you have a built-in focus group because the American public will tell you very, very fast exactly what they think about what you just put online. But you don't have that with commercials that directly. People might love you and they just might not need your services, so you can't just correlate it to phone calls. But anyway, that's I don't remember what I was supposed to say.
You spoke about the wallet, and I think, I speak to many law firms on a regular basis.
There's a perfectly good explanation for that.
And often they just want more cases.
Yeah.
And there isn't a specific number. So I wanted to share with everyone, what are the 2 metrics that we base our goal setting on? And really, hey, what's our year-over-year growth that we want in each market? So it's a very specific number.
What's growth, though, for you? Is that number of cases? Is that revenue? Or is that profit?
It's for marketing specifically, it's the number of retainers signed.
Okay.
And then what's the cost per acquisition for that? So those are the 2 key metrics that's going to determine volume and profitability. And obviously we have the cash flow of fees that, the finance departments are really setting that and measuring that based on our average case value, et cetera.
In your operation, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm curious. Do they evaluate sort of each market individually, or is it one big portfolio that as long as the total is hitting its marks, it's fine?
We have a saying, every market is our only market. So St. Louis, for example, is an expansion market for us versus Jacksonville or Tampa or Orlando, where we've been there for 20, 30 years. And they'll have different goals in St. Louis, different growth goals, different profitability goals.
Do you find that most cities follow the same type of pattern, or are there factors city by city that are very different? See what I'm doing? I'm pumping Morgan & Morgan for information. And then I'm going to
I was going to ask about competitive research next. This is a very unique competitive research tactic right now.
This is like a Kobayashi Maru. I'm ready for him.
This might as well. You want to sit here?
Tell me the secrets, and I'm going to use them against him.
And the great thing
or
is
he's
that
going to not tell me the secrets, and then what kind of speakers?
I'm taking inspiration from this.
I've got him.
or I'll tell you the wrong secrets.
No, okay.
Yeah. Really, the idea today is to share. And I asked my web team earlier, just before I got here, I said, you know what, can you go to, create me a link on forthepeople.com/marketing in case, I'll tell the group, if anyone wants to set up time with me, I set up a Calendly, you can just go select my calendar so we can
I'm going to spend the whole week with them. I do. I'm going to
forthepeople.com/marketing, and you can set up some time. I speak to many of you on a regular basis regardless.
Yehuda, you say you do some competitive research too, so how do you navigate that?
Yeah, our competitive research, so we use the tools like Kantar, Aditail, Media Monitors, and we pull the basic metrics, population, and how the population is broken out. And really, we take a look at our own tenure in the market and how many referrals are we getting, how many return clients are we getting, and we put together really a budget that will make us number one. And that's how we're in it to build a brand. And many law firms start off direct response, and I think that's fine. You start off building an inventory and then use that cash flow to start doing more branding. You can't just go out of the door and put billboards everywhere and own radio, but I think you should pick one channel and focus on that channel. So if you're going to do TV really well.
Okay, but that's a good question for you. How do you choose the first dollars that you spend? Right? I mean, that question I get asked a lot. I still don't have a good answer to. That's why I want to hear his. But seriously, so a lot of these firms don't have $150 million to spend a year.
Sure.
Some of them have considerably less. So talk about their first 200. Well, you got to have some money if you could afford Litify. but it's potentially worth every penny. Potentially.
Pays for itself.
I still got to hold them to it. But no, I think it will be. Obviously, I'm a big believer. But anyway, where would you spend your first $250,000 a year?
We survey our clients and we ask them, okay, how did you hear about us? What was, and they often don't realize themselves because we're branding so heavily in our current markets. So we're on TV, we're on radio, we're on billboards, we're on digital. We send direct mail. We send out swag. We have cool Morgan & Morgan socks.
Oh my! I don't wear socks, but if I did,
just in case, I brought you a pair.
You know what?
Oh my God!
Come on, folks. That's fabulous. That's fabulous.
Yeah, we have some fun with it. So we have a lot of clients and a lot of employees. So we put together a shop, forthepeople.com, and we probably have, Sammy helps us put it together, and we have like 100 different pieces of swag. That
listen, you know what? I think one of the things I love about your operation, and I really do, I joke because they're in the market now, but I've been chomping at the bit for it for years because I just get bored. You need something. You do. Let me tell you, honestly, you do.
You did something very bold. You put out a TV ad that said, "Hey, Morgan & Morgan, the Florida firm is now in our market, but they only have a small office here."
Yeah, that's right. And what did they do? They went out and bought a practice there. I'm like, okay.
They said we're here for 40 years. Now we're here for 95 years.
Yeah. It's true. But I know the guy that they bought and stinks. He's not a good man. No, I joke. Listen. Any market.
When you started advertising Morgan & Morgan, our case counts went up. I'm like, how's our case counts going up? Oh, our competitors are advertising for us.
It might very well be. It might be. But like I say, that's the whole fun of it. I do not consider fellow advertisers competition. Because in our business, us advertisers, we advertisers, went through a lot of shit. A lot of hoity-toity firms that didn't want to advertise. They treated us second class, ambulance chasers. They did a lot to hurt the image of the profession, and they tried to turn the advertisers into the lightning rod to absorb all of that. When in reality, people hated lawyers long before advertising. It's true. It's well documented. But anyway, that's sort of my point is that fellow advertisers, especially ones that have been doing it for a long time, they are like your band of brothers, band of sisters.
We're creating brand awareness for the whole market. Like you're saying, many workers' comp, they don't bring the claim.
So
more advertising. It's like Got Milk. Like all the dairy farms get together.
The second you guys started running in our market, our calls went up too because It is the whole thing about the water and the boats going up. The more education, the better. I read a stat that said 70% of people injured in car accidents never wind up even hiring a lawyer. Your competition is really not the other firms. Your competition is an insurance industry that does everything they can to make sure that 70% of the population doesn't hire us. So, there should be a camaraderie. And I have no problem really with any of the competitors in our market except for the ones, not you guys. You guys are fine. I don't like the ones who advertise, and then I know my opinion really matters to you. We would have taken your cases if you'd have called us. We pick up a phone. It seemed so obvious. But anyway, no, the ones that bother me are the people that advertise that still like to act like they're not advertisers. And I'm like, embrace it. There's nothing wrong with advertising. You got to believe in what you do. I love the fact that, because of what we've done in advertising, a lot more people that would never known their rights, they know their rights. What's the point of having them if you don't exercise them?
Well, I think that's our duty as a law firm in general, right?
Exactly.
We have to fight that injustice.
I want to get some good content for the group here. If a firm wants to start advertising, they're not currently doing mass advertising, where should they start? I think you should start doing some TV or radio, one of the two, some mass reach. And you're thinking about reach and frequency. Those are the two metrics. You're buying on a CPM, and really just start, and you'll see the calls coming in. Use a branded phone number. You don't need to have a phone number for each individual station. People are just going to eventually remember your branded phone number. So we do pound law across all our different metrics, and we don't measure, like you're saying, we don't measure cost per acquisition from just our billboards or from just radio or from just TV. We look at our integrated media mix.
It's hard to say, you get 100 people that call you that say they saw your television commercial, but what else did they see? And I think it's really important to have a wide portfolio of marketing tools.
And you can see what keyword they clicked on your Google ad 5 times.
It's more, billboards aren't case acquisition tools, like they're branding tools that might help that, if you're picking between two firms and they saw that billboard this morning, or, the Morgan commercial where they see John everywhere. It helps. It helps close all sources of marketing. It's really
Should we look at some commercials? I know we prepared some.
We're going to get there. You guys are running this panel. But before we get to commercials and creative and channels, I'd love to talk about out-of-home, digital. How do you pick? How do you mix up that mix? Let's talk about brand. So taking a step back, before you're advertising, you have to know who you are, and you have to decide, what you stand for and build that into something that people are going to recognize. How do you do that? Shawn, let's start with you.
Yeah. So I think it starts with how you handle your clients. Results and client service are still the best marketing tools. I'd rather have a client refer me a case than have a television commercial produce a case. So it starts there. Your brand is about the people you're representing. You have to get to know them. You have to do your research. But you have to have a brand that stands for something, and it's different, it's unique. It has to have character. Our brand guidelines have a personality built into it. How are we going to talk? It's not just what are the colors in the logo that you're going to use. What words are we using? Are we using the right words? Do our website words match the search words that are being used online? Attorney versus lawyer was an issue we ran into when we first started marketing. We used the wrong words. But it's really just evolving that brand, but staying true to who you are and the people that you represent.
Yeah, I just to underscore that, I think the key on all of it is, you have to be genuine. The public, their sense of crap is just so strong now. They've seen too much. We've been through too much. And the innocence is completely lost to the point where people are kind of jaded. And that's why, all the more reason why the ability to speak in a genuine voice as your genuine self is just, if there's a magic recipe that gets you right to them, it's that. The rest of it, I don't think is effective at all.
I think, agreed. But you need to have a story that connects with them. So, like the John Morgan story, which you'll hear, I'm sure, later on, where his brother Tim was in an accident, and that's where, he didn't really have a direction to go, and he became an injury lawyer because he wanted to make sure that this never happened to someone else. And when we put that story out there, we get a lot of feedback on that. Even our TV ads, people are emailing John, I saw your ad and made me cry, or whatever it is. So having knowing who you are, and for us, it's for the people, not the powerful. And that's really, we're never moving away from that. People connect with that in a really deep way.
Okay, I think we can watch the ads now. Thank you.
Do we need to move?
No.
Go ahead.
You have to watch through us.
Amazing.
Awesome. Shawn, do you want to tell us a little bit about that and the inspiration?
Yeah, so we've been partnered with the Eagles for about 4 years. There's a lot of similarities in the brand. You know, our clients are Eagles fans. So we relate, and this commercial was all about relating to the fan. What are their experiences? What do they like to do? And we're just one of them. You know, we go to the tailgates. They're in our neighborhoods. Our staff members live next to our clients. So it's about being a part of the community, representing the community, understanding that there are other strong brands in the community that we can leverage. Obviously, as a business, that's important. And really just have some fun, have a personality, do things that aren't just, we're going to get you money. Because I think that's stale at this point, and you really have to be creative and have a personality behind it.
Yeah, for sure. Sponsorship is great too. Eagles, right? You're attaching yourself to them, so that's awesome. All right, let's play the next one.
You've been eating cereal wrong your whole life. I'm Ed Herman, and I'm a lawyer with the law firm of Brown and Crouppen. I'm a licensed lawyer, but I'm also a licensed cereal mixologist from the University of General Mills. See, I've been practicing law for 20 years. I've been practicing cereal for 47. First thing, before you've even earned the right to eat the cereal, you need to learn how to open the box properly. Never let a kid open a box of cereal. You're gonna get this. Have you ever seen this? And it makes me wanna cry. Now, when you go to pour it, you don't get the good pour. You get one of these deals. We've all been there. What you do is you take your 2 fingers, you put them in gently, and you slide them across the top. You see that? What you want to do is you want to take the little middle tab and very gently, just until it gives. There we go. And then slide your fingers across like this. You see that? That's how you open it. Okay. Now, how you combine different cereals. Now, why would you combine different cereals? That's like saying to me, why do I combine ingredients to make a cake? Because when you combine things, you get a cake.
All right, so completely different approach using humor. Tell us about it.
What? I didn't hear your question.
Oh, I said tell us about that. That was using humor, right?
Yeah, okay. You know, we're real outside the box with what we call BCTV. And what it is we made a couple of realizations. These are truths. 99.9% of the people out there do not need your services today. They don't. So you could either do your marketing for the 0.001% that might actually see your ad and call you, or you can do something that the other 99.9% of the people might actually enjoy watching. Have a little fun with you, see your personality, see your genuine self. That thing, and it's about a 6-minute video, it's pretty in-depth. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It'll change your life. It's changed many. I can tell you that it's gotten millions of views online. It's gotten 44,000 engagements from the public. That's people commenting, that's people liking, that's people sharing. You know, it was a bonanza for us, and we have a couple of different shows that we do. I keep looking over at my creative partner from Cool Fire, that's Jeremy. If anybody ever actually is interested in talking about something real out of the box. You know, my daughter, I learned this from my 12-year-old. She said, Dad, some people just want to fit in, and then the other people just want to stand out. You know, and I thought, you know what, I think you're right. I think everybody pretty much falls into one or the other. They're both perfectly fine, but not if you want to market. You know, you want to market, you got to be somebody that's willing to hang it out there and stand out, have a differentiator, and take a gamble. If something fails, you pull it. Okay, it didn't work. I love a big failure. Big failures are the second best thing after a big success, because you learn what to do from one and what not to do from the other, and you don't waste your money. It's the stuff in the middle where you waste all the money because you don't know how long to wait to see if something's working. Nice thing about the stuff online, because well, this is where you and I maybe disagree a little bit, because my first dollars would always be online, where you can really cherry pick your audience, not spend for eyeballs that you don't need, that are never going to hire you. So that's probably, and especially with the future going that way, I think I would go all digitally. BCTV is to entertain. It's to let people in and say, you know, not all lawyers are stiff. It's to be relatable. I had no idea there was such a cereal culture. I thought it was just me. Little did I know when I got home from school every day growing up at 2 o'clock and made myself a massive bowl of cereal that I was doing work that was going to pay off so handsomely for me later on. I've actually, to date, have won 5 Emmy Awards in the Mid-America region for videos that we've done for the law firm, which is, I mean, you want to talk about things that are unexpected. Anyway, that's the point of that. We do a show called 3 Lawyers Eating Sandwiches, which is me and 2 of my partners, and we hit all the local places that are well known. We eat sandwiches and we Seinfeld it up. We talk to each other and we edit it real slick, and it does extremely well. People love that it promotes local businesses. People love that it shows you're in the community. People on the internet are infatuated with food. Again, I thought it was just me. It's not. So we found something that spoke to all of them. The Ed Versus series, which is that, we've done 18 different episodes, and it's really just sort of my hot takes. We experiment tremendously with it. What you learn is tremendous. I built the fan page separate from this, totally organically, and very quickly I'm up to almost 20,000 fans, all in my market. And man, they care. I can give them the entertaining stuff to kind of get them on board. Once I have them on board, I can then talk to them about anything I want to. I can give them all the legal medicine when the time is right and make myself available. But that's my technique, bctv.com. Check it out. I'm available for party rentals.
It's a really interesting and unique way that social and digital can bring yourself to somebody before they ever meet you, and that's that getting them over the hurdle, right? If they feel like they know you already, they're going to be more willing to call.
And the first time they got to know you, you weren't selling them something, which
Yeah.
I think makes a difference with how they view you going forward, because the internet is such an on-demand environment. The ability to skip and scroll and swipe it's so expected that I don't know, I almost think it's arrogant of us to force people to watch a legal commercial that we know that they have no interest in. On television, okay, that's how that industry works, but force feeding people to watch your stuff on the internet, I don't think people like to be force fed. Give the people what they want, but do it cleverly. By the end of that video, you say, God damn, that guy knows a lot about cereal. I bet he also knows a lot about law. And that sort of is woven through a lot of the videos that I've done. bctv.com.
Awesome. All right, let's play the next one, please.
Number? This way.
Thanks.
Welcome aboard. Seat number?
Small sucks. Small can be disappointing. Small can be cold. Small can be uncomfortable.
This is embarrassing.
You can choose to go small. Or you can go big. Size matters. Same goes when it comes to your law firm.
Hey, can I borrow that?
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Awesome. All right, tell us a little bit about it.
So we've been experimenting with trying to get out of the box and doing something different. And when you look at the commercials that are running today on TV, and especially in the legal, it's pretty much what we call the talking heads. A lot of talking heads, a lot of mesothelioma commercials, very famous. And what can we do really to get people's attention? Taking learning from Geico, so to speak. So really when it comes to like our TV advertising, I don't really see our industry as competitors to us. It's really the insurance industry that's capturing all the eyeballs. So we put together a campaign really to educate the public that size is our strength. And really since we did this, we're seeing ad recall increase. But this is not the only thing we run, because of course, it's not always a humorous situation that someone's in. So we're mixing in a lot of John and Matt and Mike and Dan, and at the same time we're mixing in our true stories, our client testimonials. So it's really a good mix to get the message across so that people remember us, and when they see any one of our ads, they feel like they can connect with us.
I think that's a really important point too, that it's not how your ads are doing relative to your competition in the market. We're all vying for eyeballs and attention, and during that scroll, what is going to stop them and have them watch that, not just keep scrolling? We're competing against every industry, every market. We're just fighting for attention. in general. And I think it's really important for law firms to know that your commercial might be better than the other law firm, but it doesn't mean it's getting people's attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Although, see what I like about that, and that's the advantage you have when you're across the nation, is you can really spend the money to have spots that look very national. And I do think it makes a difference. I mean, it is a first impression for most of the people watching. And that's to my point, is that, that commercial to me is designed for the 99.9% of the people that don't need you today.
It's entertainment.
That's the
Pure
whole point.
entertainment.
Exactly. And then it speaks to, my third pillar, where the person's litmus test. That commercial is there to figure out, does showing that you have a little bit of humor meet with this person's approval? Is my sell, is this idea, have I convinced people that yeah, you know what, bigger is better, size does matter. All those little measures, and you can find out, because, again, you can run these things digitally, and people give you, whether you want to hear it or not, they're going to tell you what they
So we spoke about choosing a channel, and when you choose a channel, it's not just about the buy, it's not just about the reach and frequency and your CPM, it's also about the creative effectiveness. And really you have to test it, put together some creatives, and then you'll usually hear a response.
Yeah, and when we've done focus groups, they never know it's for us. We get every lawyer ad we can to be looked at and commented on by this focus group. So we get all of our competitors, and then we'll get a few, nicer, bigger, more national looking ones. And then we'll have ours blended in there as well. I think you get better feedback. If they detect that you're the firm doing the focus group, you could just throw all their stuff out the window at that point. It's all skewed. But you also,
it's great to use third parties.
And you learn much more about what they say about your competitors' ads. There's so many ads sometimes that I thought, well, that's a great ad. You've seen that, so man, that was a great ad. And then it tested like shit, and I was like, yes. I thought that ad was killing us in Kansas City. It turns out it was doing nothing. But that's where you learn the fun stuff.
And I think the key is for these types of ads is that you get people's attention, and they remember your brand. Now you have the brand awareness, and that's the key measure, the ad recall and the brand awareness that we're measuring.
Yeah.
How often are you updating or thinking about new creative and new messaging? And based on that research and focus group feedback, I'm sure.
I can start on this one. I think you have to be generating content every day. You don't have to be creating TV commercials every day. But film, we have camera people that follow around our main partners and film them at all times. And we might never use 90% of that content, but we have a library of thousands of hours of speeches and, client meetings and things like that you have to be generating content. When you're doing a TV commercial, are you getting a social media commercial out of it? Are you getting a 6-second clip out of it? Are you getting a 15-second commercial out of it? Really maximizing the content you're producing. I think in this day and age, you have to be constantly generating content. It's very important.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
And that's why you see it. Listen, there's a lot to be learned from the Kardashians. They can. You get a daily dose of new stuff coming out all the time. And if if the people like you, you build up a pretty big following.
Yeah. How do you, go
I'm
for it.
saying if you follow us on TikTok, you see the John and 60s. Every Monday we put out a new piece, and it just explodes.
Really? Every Monday?
Every Monday, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm a big fan of those.
Yeah, you are?
Yeah. John to
Like-
60 Seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
Fantastic.
I like anything where, I do. I find it funny, and any effort people are making to put their real self out there. And what I like about John in 60 Seconds, the same thing I like about my own stuff, is that I get the sense that what you're seeing is what you get. That's the actual person there. And there's nothing better you can do on an ad than have the person think that.
Given a lot of the clients that you're serving have some very serious injuries or they're going through a hard time, obviously humor helps to alleviate some of that, but how do you know when to use humor or when to be serious?
I think the right mix. That's what we're doing.
I think you can get away with more digitally. I think people expect more humor online. They're accustomed to it, and you can do a lot more creatively because you're not restricted to the 30 seconds or the 60 seconds. Television, I think you're right. I think it can't be the whole thing because you do want to get that 0.01% that's hurt. You do want them to call you too. I don't want to leave them out. So it's just a little bit of a mix. But quite frankly, I would not use sarcasm. I think sarcasm is lost on way too much of the population. I don't think you realize it. So anything that looks snarky or sarcastic, in my personal opinion, but it's, I've been doing this for a while, and, sarcasm doesn't work, not for legal services.
That's interesting.
I mean, people have been hurt, and you got to teach. It's a lot about dignity, and in their mind, they want to get the justice, and they lost their dignity. And really, it's connecting with them. So that's why we have a good mix of ads. And you asked about how often should we change the ads. It really depends on how much media you're buying, and it's something called ad fatigue. So you want to change it up at least quarterly. And you want to have, and at least on our end, we put together an annual campaign that connects with For the People, and that connects with America's Largest and our message for that year.
Do you have sort of a formula when you go into a new market that we start everyone off sort of like
Really
this?
wants to know.
Yeah. Believe me, this is no accident that I've been put up on this panel with it.
But I think no matter what the personality of the ad is that people come in through, it really is, and this goes to what is a marketing team. And your acquisition, your intake team, your call center, whatever you want to call that, really sets the tone of no matter, was it a joyful ad, was it a emotive ad, we have to set the tone that we have your back now as soon as they call. And that's why I think under the marketing umbrella is customer service. At its foremost.
Sure.
You have to be responsive. Are you calling your internet leads within 2 minutes? The operation side of it's important, but the empathy and, telling people we're here to fight for you now, no matter if they came in through one of the funny ads or not, that's who we are.
Right.
It's important to do that sell right in the beginning.
It's the mindset of what's best for the client. Always the client comes first, no matter what. Yeah.
Awesome. I think we have time for one last secret. Are there any channels that you don't use anymore? So we talked about digital, billboard, TV. Are you guys doing radio,
We don't
newspaper?
use Yellow Pages anymore.
That might be a bit hard.
Either do we, yes.
Okay.
Well, we have a really strong media mix, a really integrated approach. So we're doing a lot of TV, both broadcast and cable, and now opening to OTT a lot, Hulu, Sling, Pluto. And we're doing a lot of radio, both Pandora and broadcast radio. And we have a nice mix of different genres. It's really all about reach and frequency. In each
But let's say you
audience.
had to cut your budget. Because a lot of people here, it's great to do everything. And believe me, we try our best
Sure.
to do everything. It's expensive. But getting back to it, people don't have all the money to do everything. And they had to cut some of that out. Where are your cuts? Just from your experience?
You start cutting with your branding, and you keep at the bottom of the funnel. You spoke about the 5 different stages. So, hey, someone goes online, does a search for accident lawyer, car accident lawyer. You know that they're in the market, and you don't want to really lose that.
Right.
But I don't think you can take the sources to zero. I think, we have to evolve and understand where the attention is being spent by our clients. Mm-hmm. So even in a very tight budget, you have to have some testing budget, testing OTT, even a very small spend, targeted spend, test it, so that if one change happens to the channel over here that you traditionally relied upon, you're not starting from scratch moving forward.
Right. I think the key is when you're going to market, you can either go direct response or you can build a brand. When you're building a brand, people don't even do a Google search for you. They just know lawyer, Morgan to Morgan, dial pound law. So you're not really competing in the same
Do
channels
people
as
really
everyone
dial
else.
pound law? Do
You
they know
should
how to do
try
that?
it. When you dial
I know
pound
it
law,
works. I'm
you get someone in
curious.
5 seconds.
But you can
Yeah.
tell the difference for
Sure.
people that call the traditional phone number.
Yeah,
versus
pound law is
pound law.
a digital phone number. It's on Twilio, so we get daily
But like
reports.
out of every 100 calls, how many use pound law versus a traditional phone
We
number?
get a ton of calls for pound law, and we see it when we change our ads. We see the pound logo up and down.
Okay, that concludes our panel. You can catch these guys talking about this after. Yep. But thank you guys so much. This was really fun, and I hope you
Great
guys
audience.
enjoyed it.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
everyone.